men can like talk about and like shoving their own up their own hole is cheese.
I've never.
Oh really?
Did you make that up?
No.
Welcome to Whine About It.
Welcome to Whine About It. Well, you remember when we used to talk before the intro?
No.
We were like, oh, we'll just talk about something funny, and then it'll be like a funny, obscure start, and then we'll say, welcome to Whine About It.
Do you want to do that?
No, it's too late.
Oh.
You already said welcome. There's no going back now.
Welcome to Whine About It.
Welcome to Whine About It. What do you think about my set?
I'm serious, I like it.
Oh.
I actually think that I should do something
against
similar.
A white wall.
I literally think we should do that. Except,
do you have a white wall?
No, I think we should just have like, well, I guess it could be white. I don't know. Maybe we each need a color.
I'd like mine to be
frenemies.
light mauve.
My walls are kind of like that.
Oh. You took my color?
Kind of. Oh, you can't see it. Never mind.
Oh, well.
Leaked. Window.
Well, hello. How was your weekend?
Exhausting. I did summer camp this weekend. We streamed 11 a.m. Friday to 11 a.m. Saturday. I normally stream 2 to 4 hours at a time. But we did 24 hours, which was too much. It was fun, but it was too much. We dropped merch for Alveus. Oh, go check it out. It's amazing. And
how long is it on sale for?
Until August 4th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we dropped merch, did summer camp fundraiser. It was good. It was good. We had a new staff start last week, which is good. That was good.
How much did you fundraise?
In the stream itself, 17 grand.
Holy, that's great.
Yeah. And then the merch is a fundraiser in itself too. And the merch is doing really good. So that's sick.
Hell yeah.
And then I went to a pool party. And then I took a nap.
Wow.
And then I tried to go thrifting today, but I didn't buy anything. But I did buy dog toys. That's all.
Wowie, wowie.
How was your weekend?
I've had a bit of a long weekend myself. And I have a long week this week. I just did too much. I must have signed up for stuff when I was in a good mood, and then holy shit, am I exhausted and am I drowning? I am drowning. Wait, what is it?
It's drowning.
Oh, I'm drowning over here. I went to therapy today and I was like, I feel nothing.
Oh, what'd she say about that?
She was like, oh, great. Nothing's changed.
Oh, all right. At least you're consistent.
Sometimes, more recently, I've at least started feeling frustrated towards the dissociation because I just want to live a life. I want to live a life where I feel things, good or bad, even if it's just being sad all the time. I'd rather feel something. But it was really frustrating for me to do the concert and then afterwards meet everyone because I stayed back and took pictures with anyone that wanted to say hi or whatever. And it was frustrating to hear so many good words and not feel any warmth about it.
Yeah.
And that's frustrating because when someone says good job, you should feel a little warmth in your heart, you would think.
Right.
And so it just gets a little frustrating because I want to feel those good things. But, you know, here, whatever, we're working on it.
That seems like a good thing because I've never heard you talk about it like that before.
Oh, okay. My therapist says I'm making progress. I'm just feeling, it comes in waves of feeling defeated, I guess. I want to feel, I genuinely do. And it was an interesting thing that I talked about. Here's our little therapy segment of the day, and then we'll have wine and be fun again. But I talked to her about streamer camp that I have coming up this week that genuinely I don't feel prepared for, and I feel a little like I haven't contributed enough to it. And I feel guilty of that. And I also feel guilty of like the other hosts have spent much more time with the campers even before coming to camp. And I am guilty of not doing that. And I was talking to my therapist about this. I was like, I feel bad. I haven't been able to like spend time with them or feel like I can bond with them the same way. And she was like, if anything, that's probably healthy for you to be separating personal and professional so much. Like once you're there, I'm sure you'll be kind to them, but you probably won't develop personal relationships with them because that's not your motive compared to that could be the motive of the other hosts to want to develop personal relationships. And I'm like, dang it. Well, that's probably true, but I feel bad for the campers if my motive, like I'm down to help them as a peer. Like if they're like, hey, how do I start a podcast? How do I plan events? Blah, blah, blah. I'm here to educate and be a mentor. And that's how I see this relationship. And that's what I want from this relationship. But the other hosts are like ready to be friends with them. Yeah. And I don't have the bandwidth emotionally to make friends at this moment in my life. And so it's like, it's this weird thing that I feel guilty of it, but she's also like, but she's also like, it makes sense from your standpoint. And like another thing, like with production this week, there were things that went good and things that went bad. And I told her, I was like, I feel bad because when I give constructive criticism, I used to be a training manager. I used to work with people, and that was a thing that I was really good at. Like I was sent all over the country genuinely when I did this to train people because I was so good at like just managing people. And now I've noticed when I give constructive criticism, I'm not as tactful in the way that you would be in a corporate job because I don't have the patience anymore to be tactful. Yeah. And that makes me feel guilty. But then my therapist even said to me, she's like, that's just maturity. She's like sometimes you just cut out the glitter because you don't need it anymore.
Depends on who you're talking to.
That's a problem. I'm like, but what if the people you're talking to do need that glitter? And so it was kind of an interesting conversation, but she kind of made me feel a little better just being like, you've grown past that and you just want to get to the point, which might be hard for some people, but it still works for other people. So I don't know, because I'd much rather 1,000 times over, I would much rather someone say to me like, hey, don't paint the walls blue. I wanted them pink, compared to be like, oh my gosh, you're doing such a good job painting. But I wanted them blue, like,
sure.
I don't care for the fluff. And so I forget to fluff for other people. So I don't know. It was an interesting conversation with my therapist today. I was just trying to figure out how to navigate those conversations and not feel guilty about it, or maybe do feel guilty about it, but also just like actually feel something. So
from what I've heard about your therapist, she seems pretty good.
Hopefully.
I like that.
She keeps telling me, I don't feel like I've made any progress, but she keeps telling me I'm making progress.
Then you probably are.
I know, but I hate that I don't feel it myself.
That is one of the hard things about leading people, is adapting to different people. I treat the people that work for me all vastly different.
Yeah, and I used to do that.
Yeah.
And I've noticed I don't do that anymore. And it's weird.
The way I said that, I don't mean like I'm rude to some of them and like very nice to others. I mean like I adapt to them. I interact with them very differently.
Yeah, I used to do that. Like when I said when I was a training manager, I used to do that a lot. And it's weird as a human, as you grow and change, to like look back on your past self and be like, what happened? Why don't I do that anymore?
Yeah.
And I can't really pinpoint a reason besides patience. I just don't have as much patience as I used to. But my therapist is very validating and being like, you don't necessarily have to have patience.
Yeah.
Like,
takes all kinds of kinds.
So it was kind of an interesting conversation. If not having patience doesn't like, as long as you're respectful and you're not like trying to hurt somebody, you're fine. And you're never trying to hurt somebody giving constructive criticism. You're just trying to get the job done. So anyway, just working with production teams and stuff like that. It's just been more of a learning curve on communication, but
yeah, I think you're also at the point too where you can like choose who works for you and who works well with you, right? Like there are some people that just, just not a match. It's like that in work relationships and other relationships.
But it's harder because I still care about people and I want to give everyone opportunities. And it's also in this industry, you never know, I could hire a production team and they could be like, and I could be like, oh, I didn't like A, B, and C. And the scariest thing in the world is they can just like, again, sometimes a square doesn't fit into a circle, but they can take that interaction and go on Twitter or go anywhere and say Cutie Cinderella is a conniving.
Right.
When in reality, I just didn't like that flavor of whatever they were giving me, right? Like, and it's very human to not match up, but it's an extra layer of like terrifying anxiety of that can be weaponized against me. And it's like, that sucks. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, but
it is. We've talked about this like probably literally a million times on the phone. The idea that normal people can make mistakes and then literally keep moving and then they're gone. Like, or like you can date someone and it ends really badly and you move states and then it's in your past, right? Yeah. It's just like you move on. Like that's what humans do. But for creators and people in the spotlight, you can't, especially if it's something that was recorded or something that you put out there, because then they replay the clips.
Yeah, it's weird because like, sorry, I cut you off. Keep going.
No, I mean, they replay the clips and they react to things in the context of today and not the context of when things happened. And this is obviously a problem. Now we're having a conversation about cancel culture, but no, it's exhausting. We're held to a inhuman standard because no one else has to be as consistent because no one else has all the evidence. You move on. That was years ago. It was in another state. I don't talk to those people anymore. It's just different. It's very different and it's very stressful.
Yeah. Cause I think about like my old job, there are certain contractors I just didn't want to work with. I'd work with them. They do a bad job, move on to the next, right? I would never have to worry about like this looming, like maybe a bad Google review, but like, that's nothing in the grand scheme of getting the job done compared to like, you never know. And so it's like when I use different companies, now I get very scared, even like venues, right? You can go into a venue and treat it very good, but say you don't take out one trash can and all of a sudden they're like, man, Cutie Cinderella's trashed our place, and it's like, shoot. And it's like this big, intense weight on everything I do that I'm just like, so like scared. Everything feels so fragile all the time. And it's just, it's a lot.
It's also one in the way that we treat people, two, anything in writing anymore, anything. I like,
can be taken out of context.
Yeah. I'm so scared of putting anything in writing in private messages, in text messages, in like email, anything in writing. I'm like, is this leakable?
I don't think about it too much, but I should.
I think about it way too much. And it's like exhausting. Like if this was put on Reddit, what would they say? And it's which is just like it's just not normal. It's like not human. And same thing with phone calls. Like, is this recorded? Like if we're talking about something like, or, I'm talking about a deal with somebody, or I'm talking about working with somebody that I don't like to my agency or whatever. It's like, is this a recorded call? It's just like the whole culture, there are new precedents set for it, like every week of things being more and more scary. I don't know. They're just out they want the gotchas so bad. And every human on earth has so many.
Oh, absolutely.
But the people online that are viewers, they don't have a platform. Nobody's looking for theirs and everybody's looking for ours.
Yeah, so. It's weird. Essentially, I have a project. I've talked about the late night show for a long, long time, and I had to pivot. And, long story short, a sponsor needs it done sooner, so I have to pivot and use a different contractor. And it's like stuff like that. Like, it's just like, man, it makes sense why I did it, but you never know. You just never know, and everything makes sense in my mind, but you never know who's going to be offended, who's going to take it too hard, it's exhausting, really.
Right.
But
yeah. I just
Got
had
to
these
get the job done at the end
conversations.
of the day.
I just had these conversations with my new therapist, my brand new poor therapist who's learning everything right now. And who in 2 sessions I've explained Twitch, LSF, Reddit, deepfakes, like everything too in 2 sessions. And I was talking to her about Jenna Marbles leaving the internet, and then what's happening with Colleen Ballinger, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And how interesting, I've talked to you about this a bunch of times. I've talked to a bunch of people about this a bunch of times. Like how interesting it is to me that Jenna left. Jenna would have gone through a wave of cancellation. I'm sure of it. I mean, she
already was.
Yeah. She had posted super problematic, like racist skits back in the day when it was funny, right? When it wasn't like when people didn't think that made you racist. Now you watch it today and people are offended today is what I just rewatched her apology video or her video where she left YouTube. And she was like, people are offended by my videos today. And there's a time in my life where I liked having, this is what she said. There's a time in my life where I liked having all of my content up because it showed how much I've grown as a person. And I'm really proud of that because you look at my videos that I made in 2016, you look at my videos that I made today, I've clearly grown a lot and like don't put out content like that anymore. And I was proud of that. But that's not how people on the internet see it. And they'll watch videos and they'll be offended today by something that was made in 2016. And that's just how it is. And I don't want to be a part of that. And I don't want anything that I put out there to affect people. And I don't want to keep making content that might affect people. And so I'm out. And she took herself out of it and she left with everyone loving her. And everyone's just like, we didn't deserve her. Like, come back, Jenna. Like, I miss you so much. And I really think, now I'm not going to give my take on the second thing, but it's crazy seeing what's happening with Colleen and what could have happened with Jenna. And like, I don't know, there are cancellations everywhere. And the Jenna video just makes me think like, wow, you can really just leave. You know, you can really just be like, hey guys, I'm going to go. And you do it on your own terms and you just leave in peace. And everyone's like, why? What the heck? Like, you're fine.
Taylor Swift actually, I know, I'm sorry, Taylor Swift. She has a song called Lucky One, and it's about one of the Kennedys that was like really famous and amazing. And then like she has this line that says, you took the money and your dignity and you got the hell out. Mm-hmm. And it's true. Hollywood, Twitch and streaming is a micro niche environment of Hollywood where it's like just shit, just, you know, you're on this platform, you're dehumanized for the sake of entertainment, and people love feeling better than other people. And so it's easy to take this person that looks like they have everything and try to tear them apart to feel better about yourself. And man, if you're the one getting torn apart, do you suffer? Like
that's what I was trying to tell my therapist.
Why put yourself on that mountain?
Yeah, my therapist was like, why do people do that? Like, why are there haters online? Like, what is it? And I was just like, it feels good to point at someone and be like, what a bad person. I would never. When there's nobody that's going to look at you and be like, didn't you make this joke last week in that group chat? Like, didn't you say this on that podcast 2 years ago? Didn't you make this skit 5 years ago? Like, there's nobody to point at you and say that. All you have to do is point and be like, I would never. And it feels good. Mm-hmm. It's like, and then, you know, and then you're morally superior and you feel good about yourself. And it makes sense. I get why people want to do that.
People are haters.
Yeah. But
I mean, I'm a hater. Like I used to be way more of a hater than I am now. But like even just like, you know, a pick me girl phase, like I would see a gorgeous woman. That's probably plastic surgery.
Right.
She probably has a bad personality, right? No, go fuck yourself. Like you're just trying to feel better about, I don't look like that. So let me try to knock her off her pedestal. Like it's not fair. It's not. If anything, being on a pedestal has made me much less of a hater, and because there's just
oh my god,
you have
same.
the bandwidth, dude. Like genuinely,
it's actually almost like the reverse of it. I will look at people doing terrible things in real life, you know, or like on the news or whatever, and I'll be like, there's probably a reason. I'll be like, they probably like there's other context that I'm missing. Something else happened, you know, like there's something else there. Just because we get so much of that.
Anyway, sorry for the
Anyway.
soapbox. We have wine this week.
We actually have wine this week.
Woo!
And my boyfriend picked it out. He's really into wine. He's really excited to take this leftover bottle after. He thinks we're going to like it, even though he knows we don't like wine.
We have to start saying we like wine so
Sorry.
we can get sponsored. Because no one wants to sponsor us besides wine companies, because no one wants to get behind alcohol.
You say that? There's no wine. Okay. We've like...
I had a thing today. I'm not even kidding you. I had a call with my agency and they're like, oh, we tried to pitch blah, blah, blah wine about it, but then they didn't like the the alcohol aspect of it. So they'll just do your main channel. And I was like, damn it.
It's called Bread and Butter Pinot Noir. Classically styled Pinot Noir grown in California and crafted to be enjoyed with good food and company.
I don't
That's all
have
it
food
says.
or company.
It's 13.5% alcohol. Yum.
I do like that there's no stupid hints of vanilla, hints of
I kind of like those. I
blackberry.
think they're fun.
Oh. Well, they never have a hint of anything. Oh, you
Whoa.
found your wine opener.
Yeah, I did.
I got a different one. I have to make Hassan's dumb birthday cake tonight.
Yuck, Hassan. What are you going to make? What are you going to put on it?
He likes tres leche. His brother has a tradition of putting a picture of last year's cake on it. So Murat is getting the picture printed, and then I'm gonna have
I love
Patty
Murat.
go and pick it up. I love Murat too.
I'm a
I felt
huge
so
Murat
bad because
stan.
like this is how I talk, right? Like this, pretty much my voice. And I'm on the phone with Murat, and he's like, "Oh, this is so exciting." I'm like, "Yeah, it sounds good." And he's like, "You don't sound like you're excited." I was like,
I
I'll
like
tell you what,
Murat more than I
never
like
sound
Hassan.
like I'm excited. Everyone does.
Okay. Oh, smells like wine. Yum, I love wine. Wine pour.
Did you hear my pop?
My wine pour sucked.
Your
pop
wine
was
pour
good.
sucked.
Your pop was good.
I'll do it
Wait,
again.
it smells
I'll do
really clear.
That was
I don't know how to explain that. It smells more refreshing than normal wine.
okay. I'm pouring.
Maybe
Oh.
less pungent. That sucked.
Yeah, this wine has a bad pour.
Our wine pours sucked. It's been so long we couldn't even do a good wine pour.
We forgot how to pour wine.
We're gonna edit in a wine pour. All right. Let's see. Let's see what he picked out for us. Smells like rotting grapes on a log. That's what they all smell like.
I haven't eaten today.
Oh my god.
I
Why?
just realized
That's not good.
I'm a busy girl.
Actually, I kind of like it. I don't mind that at all.
You're just saying that.
I don't think he does not watch this podcast, for the record.
Actually, neither does Ludwig. I don't
He
know why I
definitely doesn't
gasped,
watch this
like,
podcast.
Yeah.
No, I actually kind of like it. It's kind of good.
Yeah, I like it. I actually like it too. It's easy to drink.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I think the smelling clear vibe, it is easy to drink. It's just a real clean wine.
Yeah, it's easy to drink. There's nothing too bad about it, actually.
Time to
I'm not
drink the
doing
whole bottle.
No,
Yum.
I'm not gonna do that.
All right. Speaking of red,
Wow, the transitions here have really.
at least I'm trying. I'm trying to do segues. Okay, it's important for podcasts. Today's episode
is
brought to you by the menstrual cycle. Today, Cutie Cinderella and I are going to teach you all about periods. Why?
And tell stories about periods.
Why? Because it's getting better, but we still have a mostly male audience, and you need to know. So we're going to teach you. Smile.
We're going to normalize, because this is what happens, actually. I was on Fear and. I walk into Fear and I'm dying of cramps this week. And I'm like buckling over and I'm like, oh, I'm unwell. And they're like, are you sick? And I'm like, no, my uterus is trying to kill me. And they're like, huh? And I'm like, I'm on my period. And they're like, oh, that's so natural and beautiful. And I was like, shut the fuck up. Don't say that about periods, you dumbasses.
It's so
it's crazy to
natural and
me
beautiful.
that men can like talk about and like
Yeah.
shoving their own butts up their own asshole is cheese.
I've never.
Oh, really?
Did you make that up?
No.
Okay. That's gross.
Anyway, they can talk about the grossest of gross things, and you talk about a little bit of blood coming out of every month, and they're like,
yeah, it's really sad.
Society.
Sad and cringe.
Sad and cringe.
So, periods. Let's get into it, shall we? Let's start at the top. What is it?
Maya wants it to be educational.
What is a period? I watched several videos before this so that I could explain a period properly. Here's what happens.
Question. What is the lips of a, what is it called?
Labia.
And what's like the like pink part of a called?
Isn't it all pink? What do you mean?
Like the outside, like skin lips. What are they called?
Labia.
And then what's the inside called?
Labia majora and labia minora.
Wow, you're good.
I did a lot of learning.
I made the boys watch that show Naked Attraction.
Yeah.
And there was a girl that had a longer labia than what I am used to. And
Yeah.
I was like, what is that thing called? And apparently it's all just like labia.
Yeah, some people have a lot of labia, some people have not a lot of labia.
I feel like they need different names.
Why?
Like the lips should be called like the lips, and
Well,
then the
you can call
hangy
them
down
that
thingy
colloquially.
should be called the dingalingy, and then the other part can be called the hole.
She went to culinary school. No, okay, so I don't have an
think we
anatomy
should start
lesson.
a petition on changing the names.
Okay.
Wait, what is the then?
That's just a colloquial term for your as a whole.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was like I thought it was actually somewhere.
No.
Wait, what's it?
Is like a mean name for somebody.
But is also a real body part, and you can also call
I think
someone
that's the space between your and
isn't that the
maybe it's the same. These are okay. We're also saying this like they're actual terms. They're not. Like these are definitely.
I thought they were. I think
no,
in real terms.
They do not say the doctor.
The doctor
you go to the doctor
like,
and they say, "I'm just going to probe
bruised your
quick."
I think they might.
No, they do not. They don't.
What do they call it then?
I don't think they say that at the doctor.
What if you accidentally get a spider bite on the part between your asshole? They don't say like, you don't go into you're like, hey doc, I got a spider bite on my.
I don't know what they would say. I've never been in that situation.
I'm gonna Google.
Okay. While she Googles,
and
I'm gonna explain to you. Do you have an editor? Because they have to bleep so much. I feel so bad.
In human anatomy,
culinary school, everybody.
In human anatomy, the perineum, also called the grundle or is defined as the surface region in both males and females. The pubic syneps. How do you say this?
What's the website called?
What's this word? SYMPHYSIS. Symphysis. And the coccyx. COCCYX.
If I went to the doctor and they referred to a part of my anatomy on my physical body as I would feel unsafe.
Okay. Apparently it's called
What is the website?
Wikipedia. It's called the perineum, but the slang is grundle and derf, which is funny.
That's what we're
term
saying.
derfing.
Is that it's slang.
Wait, why is this called what? There's a link that says how to rub a,
Ew.
and then this says, and it's a YouTube video that says how to massage your.
That's the title.
I don't think we should. Let me see how many views this YouTube video has.
Massage your.
It has 62K views. We shouldn't steal that title.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
So
why should you massage your? I wonder now. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm back.
So a period is when once a month, if an egg does not attach to your uterine lining, you just shed it all out because you don't want
weird.
You don't want dead or sick eggs up in your uterus because it can make you sick. So to eliminate all risk, your uterus just sheds out the lining. I think a lot of times when people think of periods, they're like, oh, they bleed from their. That is true. There is blood. But there's also uterine lining. Much more comes out than just blood.
Yeah, it's yucky.
Fun fact of the day. We'll start there. So that's what happens once a month. Not everything has periods. It's very inefficient to have a period because it comes with lots of hormonal side effects and a lot of physical side effects, like Cutie was saying, like cramps. We get periods. Great apes get periods. Monkeys get periods. Bats get periods. And maybe a couple other animals, but most of them don't because it's very inefficient and dumb.
At least we don't lay an egg once a month. That would suck.
That's true.
Dumbass chickens. Wait, do chickens only lay an egg once a month?
No, commercial layers lay every day.
Oh.
Yeah.
Does that hurt?
Yeah. In the wild,
really
their closest
sad.
wild relative, red junglefowl, they live in the rainforest or in the forest. They lay maybe 12 eggs a year, 2 laying seasons. But because of artificial breeding, our commercial layers can lay up to 300 eggs a year. Because the demand for eggs is so high. So they just never stop. They're machines.
Everyone should just get our own chickens.
Would be cool.
And treat them nicely.
So it would be cool. So anyway, that's what a period is. That's why we bleed once a month, is because if we're not pregnant, it's like, get all those eggs that didn't work out of there. No infections. Get them out. And then we bleed for a little bit, and then we ovulate, and then we get back to it every month, over and over and over and over.
Have you seen the old period underwear they used to have? It was like plastic.
No, that sounds awful.
Let me find it. I remember I've seen it somewhere.
There are a lot of crazy period products out there.
Oh, it's vintage women's period underwear, but it's giving me like period timepiece underwear, not. How do I find this? Plastic. What? Uh-oh. One of the things I was going to talk about was how crazy that this just came up. Was there's lots of period things, there's tampons, I can't find the old. If you've ever seen a picture of it, it's like this plastic underwear that they used to wear in like the 50s or something that you would just like put on and just hope to keep everything in.
That's a terrible idea. Like the worst of ideas.
I've seen it before, but I don't know. It was like my grandma had it on the laundry line outside.
Jeez.
But there's this brand called Thinx.
Yeah.
That
seen those.
Period underwear, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's period underwear. It's like it's underwear that has like built-in absorption somewhere and you can like rewash it and reuse
like a diaper.
But as I was Googling this, it says Thinx settled a lawsuit over chemicals in its period underwear.
What? I just saw an ad for it today.
Yeah. If you live in the US and bought Thinx underwear recently, you could be getting some money back. That's because the period panty brand has just settled a class action lawsuit alleging that its products, long marketed as safer or more sustainable approach to menstrual hygiene, contain potentially harmful chemicals.
Oh my God.
Wow.
That sucks.
Yeah.
How could there even,
So they're being sued for deceptive
what chemicals?
practices.
Isn't it just fabric? What are not?
I don't know.
Anyway, that's crazy.
Sucks.
There were lots of period products out there. Yeah, maybe don't use those. I don't know. We have plans to talk about our first period and lots of other period stories.
Period stories.
Period stories. So you guys can learn about periods and talk about them and not think they're gross and cringe.
Yeah, don't think they're gross. That's the biggest red flag of a man is if you talk about a period and he like
Yuck.
flinches. Yeah. Sad.
What was your first
One time
period?
when Ludwig and I were first dating and one time Ludwig and I were first dating, I perioded all over the bed and it was so embarrassing because you have to sleep, guys. Everyone has to sleep and you can't stop bleeding. It's not an option.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you can't just like turn it off while you sleep. Sometimes you get a lighter flow when you sleep, but sometimes it just keeps going. And then you wake up and it's like you
Blood
moved
everywhere.
too much or something and there's blood everywhere and you're like, and it's so embarrassing and no one means to do it. It's an accident, right? And I was like mortified, but Ludwig was like such a honestly class act. He did not like I like woke up and I was like frozen, like, oh my God, like what do I do? It was like too early in our relationship that I was like willing to be like, I perioded all over the bed. Oopsie, you know. I was like, oh my God, what do I do? Like, how do I get out of bed and somehow like hide it and then also change the sheets or whatever?
Yeah.
But I like got out of bed and then he must have noticed like that there was blood all over my side.
Yeah.
And he like knocked on the bathroom door and gave me like a clean pair of sweats.
Aww.
And like by the time I came out of the bathroom.
Oh my God, that's so embarrassing. That's so rough at the beginning.
I know.
That's rough.
By the time I had come out of the bathroom, he had already put the sheets in the wash and stuff. And it was just
nice.
Like, it was very nice. And he was very nice about it and didn't make me feel like a kraken.
A kraken.
Bleeds. Yeah. But like, weirdly enough, timing enough, I quite literally perioded the bed last night.
We're both on our periods right now. It's actually the best timing ever for this episode.
I didn't mean to. I woke up and it was just everywhere.
I think also we can sleep with pads, but you shouldn't sleep with a tampon.
You should not sleep with a tampon.
It's too many hours.
You can get toxic shock syndrome.
Yeah, which I should have looked that up because I know you can get it from leaving a tampon in too long, but I don't actually know what it is.
I do. If you leave in a tampon too long, what happens is bacteria starts creating itself and multiplying. And before you know it, all of a sudden your body goes into shock the same way it does with like sepsis. And like sometimes that leads to you having like have a leg amputated and
yeah, people die from toxic shock syndrome. You can't leave a tampon in that long. I think the max is like 6 hours or something, 7 hours.
Yeah. So you can't sleep with one unless you want to set an alarm and get up and change it. So instead you have to like strap up I call pads diapies because I think it's funny. So instead you have to strap up a diaper and go to bed and hope for the best. Like hope you just don't. I don't know about you. I don't sleep as well on my period. I just can't because I'm so
you're going to hate me for this. I really I've never had bad period symptoms of any kind my whole life.
That's insane.
I can count on one hand the amount of times I remember getting period cramps. It's insane. Crazy. It's actually crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. Yeah. Congratulations.
It's pretty remarkable. That being said, I've been on birth control since I was 16, which mega regulates your period. So I've never had like super heavy bleeding. It's always been easy peasy, breezy, flowy.
Beautiful.
For me.
Cover girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Sometimes you just fall asleep and like, since the best thing to sleep with is pads or probably a Diva Cup, but I don't really like Diva Cups personally, is diapers. So you put a diaper on and then if you move too much in your sleep, all of a sudden it's not directly under it and you miss it and then you wake up and there's blood everywhere and you're like, did I die?
Should we wear actual diapers? I bet it would work.
It'd probably be better, but I don't want to. I don't want to. I remember one time, oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing. One time when I was in high school, I remember I had like a particularly randomly, because like I have a pretty like regular flow. I would say it's like pretty medium blood comes out of me. But like one time in high school, I woke up blood everywhere. Like it looks like I just had like a miscarriage and I like in middle of the night like stumbled to the bathroom because I'm like literally like, I think I'm like dying from blood loss or something. Like I'm not well. And I look in the mirror and I'm just like stark white. And I'm like, what the? And I like hop in the shower. I rinse off. I've also, I don't know if any ladies can relate. I've passed out from my periods before.
Oh my God. I've never.
From the pain or because I'm kind of queasy around blood, even if it's my own. But I've straight up passed out. So I like jump in the shower. I like crawl out. You like do the whole thing on the toilet where you like rub a dub, get everything clean. I crawl back into bed because I'm so exhausted from like blood loss. And I'm like, I like lay a towel down where the big puddle was and just avoid it. And I just fall back asleep because I can like barely, it's the most tired I've ever felt in my life. And I wake up in the morning to my mother screaming because there's a trail of blood from my room. The bathroom is like, looks like a horror movie. I'm not kidding you. And I don't remember leaving a mess at all because I'm usually pretty like, you know, shameful and scared and clean up my mess. And I don't want anyone to know I'm on my period because that's how women are raised is I'm disgusting if I'm bleeding.
Dude, they're like wrapping tampons in toilet paper to make sure no one knows it's a tampon.
Yeah, and then sticking it in like
all the way in the bottom of the trash
roll
can.
and then blowing your nose so it also covers it. Yeah,
God.
No one can know you're on your period.
So
and my
sad.
mother's screaming and she's like, oh my gosh, Blair, are you okay? And she's like banging on my bedroom door because I always sleep with my door locked. I've always been that way. And I wake up to it and I'm like, oh my God, I open the door. She's like, there's blood everywhere. Are you okay? And even in that moment to my mother, I was like, oh yeah, I had a really bad bloody nose last night. I thought I cleaned it up. Like,
that's crazy.
It was so crazy.
I was interested before because we had said we were going to talk about periods and I was interested how your experience was different from mine growing up because you're Mormon. And like how do they talk about that? Is it like more of a shameful thing? Do you not talk about it? Like,
I don't know if it has anything to do with Mormonism or parenting. My parents did a relatively bad job at the whole like sex combos and like body change combos. Like looking back at it, they did like I was even scared to ask my mom for a bra. Like,
we talked about this last week.
Yeah,
me too.
It was not a comfortable conversation. And this is, I don't know, maybe it's society, but like I remember, you know, you learn about periods and you're just kind of like mortified and all of a sudden tampon and pad commercials make sense. And I didn't learn about periods from my parents. I learned about it from school and then quite literally never had a discussion with my parents about them.
I can't remember. I've never had one with my dad. I know that to this day. I have not had one with my dad. My mom, I must have at some point, because I don't know how I got
pads and tampons.
My sister might have gotten them for me, actually. I don't know if I've ever had a conversation with my mom.
Yeah, you're the younger sister syndrome too. Like I'm the same way. So I remember my very first period was when, ironically enough, actually, I believe it was April 12th. I like remember. Let me see. It was April 12th, 2006. So that
was your first. Why do you have that?
Because I know it was the 12th and I know it was 2006 because I was at the Benchwarmers movie with my family.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's
so I just
incredible.
Googled when did
I
Benchwarmers
absolutely
come out.
do not know the first date of my period.
Really?
Definitely not. Nor the year.
How old were you?
I was late. Probably like 13, 14.
Yeah, I was pretty early. I must have been, I guess I was 12 if it was April 2006. Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, so we were at the movies and like I had heard from like other friends, like, you know, when you're like, when other people start getting it and they're like, it's like Saving Private Ryan, like they're just dropping. And they're like coming to school the next day and they're like mortified. They're like, oh my God, my period started. It was terrifying.
Yeah.
And you're like, when's mine coming?
Yeah.
So it's like my stomach kind of felt hurt and I kind of felt like just like out of it. And to this day, even when my period happens, I get really out of it.
Yeah.
And I go to the bathroom and you're like, oh crap, I know what this is because the other girls. And so then I go back into the theater and I say to my mom, I'm like, Mom, my period started. And I'm like mortified, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, oh, go with my sister's name. We'll call her Ashley.
Suzanne.
Oh, she's like, go with Ashley to the bathroom. And I'm like, okay. And my sister and I aren't really close. Well, we are now, but we weren't as kids at all. So we go to the bathroom. She like gets me one of those 50-cent tampons out of the or pads out of the dispenser. And by the way, pads that are free, at least back in the day, were like these thick, chunky, like cotton ones. Like I think they're like better now. But so you go into the stall, you put it on, and then you went back into the movie, and it was just like so uncomfortable. It's like everyone here knows that I'm bleeding.
Yeah.
And then I got home from the movie, laid in my bed, and texted my friends that my period started.
You remember so much of it. I was trying to remember earlier today my first period so I could have a story. And the only thing that I can remember is learning about what spotting was in middle school, which is just like spots of blood. Like you just find spots of blood and that's how you know it's going to start. And I remember like, it's like so embarrassing. I remember in middle school, I was so scared of spotting. They never told you how big the spots were going to be, right? They were just like, there will be spotting. And so every day I would take my underwear off and I would like examine it. Like I would look at it so
to see
closely
if it was like a
to see if they were
dot.
like specks of blood. Cause that's what I thought spotting was. Cause I wasn't expecting, and I don't remember what happened the day I got my first period, but I'm sure it is very obvious when you're perioding.
Yeah.
It's not like microscopic specks of blood. But yeah, I learned about it in school too. I didn't learn it from my parents.
Yeah, I remember I felt sick. Also, my mother had this awful way of... My mom was a gossip queen, genuinely. Like, she would love my job now because I have so much goss. Like, I would call, if I could, I would call her and just tell her all the tea, and she would love that. She was a gossip queen. And, like, I can't even tell you, this woman was always gossiping about whatever. And I remember my sister... So there's this thing Mormons do. It's called, like, girls' camp. Where you go to different girls' camps and you go with all Mormon people and you do crafts or you learn how to sew or you whatever. It's just girl stuff. It's the patriarchy keeping us down. But my sister was at girls' camp and she had to get picked up by, I think the bishop had to go pick her up because the only men that can go up there are like bishops or the only people that, I don't know, it's a long story. Anyway, she had to be picked up and brought home early from girls' camp because her period started.
No.
And as she's walking into the house, my mom is already on the phone being like, Ashley started her period. And I'm like mortified of ever starting mine, knowing that my mom's going to like call and tell people. I'm like, I can't believe she did that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
My mom's not like that at all.
Oh, my mom loves it.
It was definitely like on the DL. It's definitely on the DL. And it was
she wouldn't
also
talk to us about it. She would just talk to other people for the record.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It was also always like, I grew up in our house too. It was like a very quiet thing, you know? Like I had brothers in my house and we would like hide the period stuff. My mom would like buy us tampons and pads and would kind of like slip it to us or like walk it to our room and like leave it in the bag on our bed. Like for what? For what?
I don't know.
I shocked my family. This is also, I was younger. Granted, I was probably 14 or something. We were having a family dinner. So at 14, I knew better than this. I may have done it because I'm the youngest child and, you know, we do the like shock factor thing and we like to test limits with our family. And it's just part of being the youngest child. We were at dinner and I was like really grumpy. It was all of us. It was my brothers and my sister and my parents and me. And my brother, I was grumpy and my brother said something about like, you woke up on the wrong side of the bed today or whatever. And I was like, I am bleeding from my at the dinner table and it ruined the whole, it was so remarkably crazy. Yeah, it made everything really awkward. I would not recommend breaking the ice that way. I would recommend easing into it.
Because as an adult now, I do that shit all the time.
Yeah, it's so funny.
I do that all the time. Like my brother would be like, why are you mad? I'm like, my uterus is trying to kill me.
Right.
Like, yeah. And it's weird how like as an adult, you feel fine doing it. But as a teenager, it's mortifying.
which is so sad because the teenagers need that like place so much more than adults do. So much more.
Yeah.
You sent links on Reddit of like period stories, and there's one of this girl, and she didn't talk to her family about, I think it's this one. She didn't talk to her family at all about periods, and then she got hers, and she thought that she was dying. Like she thought that an internal organ had ruptured, and she was bleeding out and dying, and she wrote death notes to her parents and her family because she like wanted to die in peace and she didn't want to stress them out. And so she like wrote them notes, left them for her family. Stopped bleeding. She was like, God saved me. She's a religious kid. She's like, God saved me. I am blessed. And then a month later, she started bleeding again. Same thing. She was like, I'm going to die.
Oh my gosh.
That's
terrifying.
Like 2 months. That's so sad for a child to think that they're
stressful.
dying. But also a child to think that they're dying and not saying anything about it is crazy. But I guess if you're bleeding out of your that you guys never talk about, then you're too scared to talk about where it's coming from which is so sad. Neither of us have had a child, but I would like to think it'd be so like I would be so insistent on making that chill to talk about, you know?
Yeah,
like,
I also think like hiding it from the men is stupid.
Crazy.
But my mom did the same thing. Like I like it was always like, Mom, I need more pads.
Right. Yeah.
And then as soon as I could, I'm not even kidding you, as soon as I had my own job, I bought my own because I was like, I don't want to have that conversation. Like it was just like my number one thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really sad.
Yeah, it's so interesting how that works. It was also cool. I also did this thing. I grew up poor, and I knew how expensive pads and tampons were. So I would like try to like push it to the limit. There's got to be other girls out there where you take a wad of toilet paper and you do this thing. You make this big pad, fold it in half.
So many times in my life.
I do that all the time. And then I'd keep like the other pad underneath it just so I could make that pad last longer.
Longevity.
So then I could save money. Yeah.
It's like such an insane comparison I was just about to make. And it made me sound like an actual drug dealer. I don't know why I thought of that. In college, this is so unrelated. In college, I had a frat boy tell me that he cut his cocaine with pre-workout. Like he would mix pre-workout in with his Coke because it's like, it's a lot of caffeine or something. And so he would get like twice as much Coke and then he would snort both.
That's so
I was going to make that comparison, but that's an insane comparison to make.
That's a cool comparison.
Pretty cool.
Yeah,
it's like cutting your cocaine with pre-workout.
But I was so excited when I got my own job because then I could buy as many pads as I wanted.
Sick.
And not be embarrassed or have to have that conversation.
Pads. Let's talk about period products. There's so many. Pads, tampons, liners, Diva Cups, menstrual rings. What else is there?
I've never tried those. The underwear.
Period underwear. But the big ones are pads and tampons, right?
Yeah, those are the most popular.
They do.
Hassan actually taught me about free bleeders.
Yeah, it's a thing.
I didn't know that was a thing. That sounds incredibly uncomfortable.
It does. It does sound uncomfortable. I would not like that.
It'd be like peeing yourself all day.
Yeah. I don't even like when my hands are wet after I wash them. Like they're not fully dry. And it would just be like that all over your legs.
I feel like a bug was crawling down your leg or something.
Yeah. When did you start using tampons?
I think I talked about this. We talked about this recently.
We talked about it last week.
Yeah. On the bonus episode, right?
Maybe.
That the first time I used a tampon was I was on a boat trip.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And we were like, oh shit. It was such a miserable experience. I was, I guess I'll catch up these YouTube folk because you guys don't hear the premium, but I was on a boat trip my family went in with another family and we rented a houseboat for a summer. And that was like a big deal, right? Like you don't not go to that, and not for a summer, sorry, for a weekend. You're right. We did not have that kind of money, for the weekend. And so we go there and like, it was like 4 of the teenagers, we all had to share a bed and we were just like squeezed into this queen bed, 4 teenagers. And then my freaking period starts and And then the next day we're supposed to go like swimming and stuff. So I tell my mom, I'm like, I can't go swimming. I like have, blah, blah. And she's like, it's okay. We'll just get you tampons. My mom was always so much easier to talk to when she was with her friend. Her friend's name was Jamie. And Jamie was like, cool. And so I was like, Mom, my period started. And she's like, oh, it's fine. We'll get you tampons. Like she was like easier to talk to. And I was like, great. So she goes and gets me tampons, brings them to me. Doesn't like give me any instructions or helps me or directs me in any sort of way. Just gives them to me. And I'm like,
crazy.
I know. Isn't it crazy? I'm like,
that
mother.
is crazy.
I think sometimes parents forget to parent, like genuinely. I think they think that kids are just smarter.
That's so crazy to me.
I know. She gives it to me. And in my brain, I was like, maybe she's never used tampons. And that's why she never told me. Like, I don't know. You like forget that like your parent also has periods. And like, this is a thing. But like I read the pamphlet and I like put it up there. It was so painful. It was the most painful thing in the entire world. Like I was a virgin at the time. Like I had never had anything up there. So painful. And then I go like jet skiing. And when you jet ski, it's like thud, thud, thud. And I was like,
here's the other thing too, is you probably didn't put it up far enough.
Nope, I didn't.
Like, there's like usually plastic applicators, right? And so you have to put the whole plastic applicator up. I wonder if I have a tampon. Should I give a demo?
Yeah, give a demo. I have one if you don't.
Yeah, I might not.
I have to fill the time now because I'm all alone, which is a little hard to do when you're talking about periods. It's here's a vulnerable moment. Here's a cutie vulnerable moment. I still, to this day, maybe it's misogyny winning, I get nervous that us talking about periods will make us less desirable as humans still. Isn't that weird? Like I talked about periods on Fear and there was 3 guys and I was like, oh my God, all these guys are going to think I'm gross and icky because I'm currently bleeding from my, and they're going to think I'm yucky now, which is bad. And we shouldn't think that way because everyone does it once a month. She got it.
I got him.
Okay. Give us a demo.
I'm going to give you a demo. Okay. I have a couple different types of tampons. Do for me what my
mother never did.
Okay. Tampax. Wow. So there are there are sizes of tampons. It's not small, medium, large, extra large.
It also has nothing to do with your size, for the record.
Has nothing to do with how much you weigh or how big your is or anything like that. It has to do with how much you're bleeding. So there's all of these types or all of these like absorbencies. There's light, regular, super, super plus, and ultra. So if you bleed a ton,
I've actually never seen ultra.
So if you bleed a ton, you can use an ultra. If you're not bleeding a lot, then you use like light, and it's just how much it absorbs. So here's a regular tampon. Comes a little, wow, so cute. So,
do you remember being? I don't do it anymore. I just can't give it anymore. But do you remember like you'd open the tampon or the pad and you'd be like,
so sterilely.
So would it make any noise?
Yeah. That too.
The crinkle.
I used to open it and I was so nervous of it touching anything because like you want it to be as sterile as possible. You don't want to like smack it on the ground because you're gonna put it inside you. Anyway, okay, so it's a plastic applicator and there's a little string on it, right? So you stick this up your, I don't know about you, but I do it until like here. Like the whole thing has to go into your, and then you shoot it. This is all your, right? It's like in there. And you go like this. Bloop. And then the cotton stays in your, and the string hangs out. And then when you're done with the tampon, you pull the string out.
Dude, I saw the funniest TikTok. This girl was doing her try-on haul. And she was wearing a mini skirt and her string was just living its best life, hanging out underneath her mini skirt. Yeah. And like a bunch of people were like, ma'am, your string was out. And then she responded to the video just laughing her head off. And I'm like, that's amazing to have that level of confidence to be like,
that's funny.
And she like zoomed in on it and was like pointing at it. She was like, it's saying hello. It was funny.
You guys want an absorbency demo?
Yeah.
To see how much you can bleed with a regular tampon? This is how much you can bleed with a regular one. Wow.
It's like a tablespoon or two.
And you gotta rip that out.
And if you leave it out too long, you can still bleed through your pants and stuff because it'll just go down that string.
It'll go down the string, the whole string gets bloody.
Start living its best life everywhere, and you're like, oh, that's why usually you still wear like a liner or something with.
The string is already
tampons.
It's wet up to like half of it, like up to here.
That was another thing that no one taught me, that you're supposed to wear a liner with a tampon if you're like having a heavy day.
Oh, well, that makes sense. Other tampons, I hate single-use plastics, right? I hate them. And so I was like, oh, I'll just do cardboard tampons.
But they hurt so bad.
Because plastics are so bad. So I bought these cardboard tampons.
They need to start doing like cornstarch tampons.
Yeah, honestly, these are so much less comfortable because these are
so bad,
these are streamlined and rounded. So it like goes up. This is cotton. And like,
yeah, so actually, wait, this is really great. Whenever your girlfriend's like, will you pick me up some tampons?
Get these.
Here you go. Take your screenshot.
Unless
assume she is regular and assume she wants those ones.
You can assume she's regular, or you can get her like, they have variety packs. Maybe just get a variety pack.
Yeah, actually, yeah, just get a variety pack.
It has like several of these.
I personally always liked, I don't know about you, but were those the first tampons you got when you were young?
Yes.
Tampax so I
Sport.
Tampax Sport. Yeah, that's what I got when I was young too. And they were like the most comfortable ones was Tampax Sport.
Yummy. You can also use them for nosebleeds.
No, because then it expands too much and it hurts when you pull it out.
You kick it out of your nose. Have you ever had a tampon stuck? Have you ever gotten one stuck?
No.
Oh.
But I did. There was this girl named Julia in high school. She had to go to the freaking ER and have surgery because she had sepsis because she had a tampon in, didn't know, forgot it was in, put another one up there. So then she had this like lost tampon up in her cervix, pulls it down, up, pulls it down.
In her cervix?
Up, like just really high up there, essentially.
Okay.
Like she had she had a double stacked bus that lived up there for like 3 months. And then she got really, really sick. They couldn't figure it out. And like at the ER, they were like, oh my God.
That's so
and
sad.
Found this really old tampon and pulled it out of her.
There was a girl at a summer camp that I went to, and she got a tampon. She put the string up there too. I don't know why. I think she must have just like shoved it up. You could shove it up there.
I guess you could tuck it up.
I think she thought that she was supposed to like put it all. I don't know. But then when she went to go take it out, she couldn't, and the nurse had to go fish it out.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
That's so mortifying. What's
crazy
is like some people have the confidence to go to like their waxer while on their period. I could never.
With a tampon in there? Yeah.
Yeah.
People have confidence to do a lot on their periods.
I need to have more confidence.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't.
So wait, what's your first tampon story?
Oh, I played soccer all through high school. Not all through high school. Okay. First 3 years of high school with pads. Like I played soccer in high school and I would play the games with a pad on. Imagine playing a soccer game with a diaper on. It was disgusting and like so uncomfortable and so sweaty and gross.
Then, they get sweaty.
Everywhere. Yeah, it's awful. Because I couldn't use a tampon. Nobody taught me how. I finally got one. I tried to use it. I was a virgin at the time. I almost passed out. Yeah.
It's also about the angle. When you're a kid, you don't know that all go like this. Mm-hmm. They don't go like this. And so you're in there like trying to make it go up. And so then it like bends and like, ow, it hurts.
It hurts so bad. And I like didn't know where the hole was. You know, you don't just like intuitively know where it is. And you don't know how to put things up there. And I was like sitting on the floor in my bathroom and I was shaking because I was so scared and I couldn't do it and it hurt so bad. And I just like laid on the floor half naked, feeling like I was going to pass out. And so I couldn't put a tampon in until after I started getting with guys and it had been for the first time.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah. And then it was fine. Once that had been done, I was like, you know what? I know where it is.
If that I know what it feels like. There, I can put this up there.
That was literally it. Yeah. So then I started using them later in high school. But yeah, tampons were not easy at the start, but they are a blessing.
Oh my gosh, they're the best now.
They're the best.
I will say Diva Cup is the other option, which I used.
I'm too scared.
I went through a phase. I think it was like a 3-month phase where I used a Diva Cup and it was actually awesome. The only reason I stopped was because I don't really have a good reason besides maybe laziness. And like a horror story of this woman that I told the story on Fear and, so I don't super want to repeat it, but we don't have a big crossover audience, so I think it's fine. But I was like interviewing with a lady. I don't remember if I was interviewing with her or if we were just in a normal meeting or something, but she was wearing a skirt and she stood up and just blood just gushed out of her. And it was like, oh my God, are you having a miscarriage? Like freaking out. Like, someone needs to call 911. Are you okay? Like, you know, you just see blood come out of someone and she's like, oh my God. And you're like, oh my God, are you okay? You know, like freaking out. And she's like, and after like the commotion dies down, she's like, my Diva Cup flipped.
Oh my God.
So
that convinced me.
Yeah. And so I was like terrified. I was like, oh my God. And so how Diva Cups work, they are, I'm not kidding you, incredibly comfortable. They are more comfortable than a tampon. They're amazing when they're in correctly, but it's a little silicone cup, and think of it like a wine cork, quite literally, where it's like if this had its cork in and I flipped it upside down, nothing's coming out. But as soon as I pull it out, it's obviously going to pour out. So the Diva Cup is a little cup. You fold it like a taco almost, like, so it has a point, and that point you put up, you kind of shove it up so your thumb is like you like pinch it, go up, so it has an angle to it, go up, and then when you let go, it goes and it locks to all sides of your cervix, and it has this little plastic like silicone part that is at the bottom, so you can pull it out really easily when it's time. But you also have to like go, yeah, so it's in your,
not your cervix.
You have to go up there with your finger and break the seal. Yeah. So it has 4 tiny holes around the perimeter of it, and that's essentially what creates the suction, the same as any like suction cup. It's not like a painful suction, it's just like it's just a seal. But since she was in the meeting and her legs were cross-legged, in some shifting of her body, air got in between and broke the seal. So when she stood up, it went in on itself and poured out like everything. And I thought you could keep them in all like 24 hours, but apparently it's 12 hours. I had to look it up today because it's been years since I tried it. But you keep them in for 12 hours. And I will tell you what, it is like, it's instead of like with the tampon, you have to change like every 3 or 4 hours. So like, let's say in a 12-hour period, you're changing that 4 times. You have to go up there, your hands get yuck, you wipe, blah, blah, blah. It's only 1 mess a day. It's a bigger mess, but it is only 1 mess a day. And so it's like, it's kind of sick. Yeah. And it's the best for the environment because you just boil them after each period to sanitize it, put it in a bag, bada bing, bada boom. So they're like, genuinely, if you've never tried it, you should try it. They're pretty dope.
The only reason I haven't is I'm too scared I wouldn't be able to get it out. It seems like it'd be really slippery, and like I would panic, and I would just actually like, be really stressed. Easy.
It's so easy because it's not. It's actually matte. Like the silicone is matte on the outside, and the thing that comes out of it has grip if you need it. So you grip it with one hand, like kind of finger break the seal with the other hand, and bloop, and then it literally comes right out. I don't know. I should honestly try it again. They're very convenient. I think you have to be more methodical with it because you have to make sure it's sanitized at the beginning of your cycle, and then you just wash it in between days or whatever. And it comes with a soap that you're supposed to use, the Diva Wash or whatever wash. It's just but they're actually pretty sick, and I should get one again because it was kind of cool.
Yeah, we'll do a review.
Not right now though, because I'm currently on my period. Yeah. So next period maybe we'll get one. But yeah, if you haven't tried it, honestly, like I know there's a lot of taboo, and especially like men will be like, oh, gross. So it just holds all your blood, and it's like, homie, the blood's coming out anyway. Right. Ooh, one thing I'll say about Diva Cups is since the blood is sitting there, it will coagulate like normal blood does. And so when you like empty out your Diva Cup, you'll more likely like,
it's like chunky.
This is TMI to guys, but usually when you're on your period, every once in a while chunks will come out.
It's uterine lining.
There's uterine lining, or there's blood clots or like whatever, because blood naturally coagulates. And especially if you're sitting still for a long time, when you stand up, it's like the blood sat in there, so it coagulates, stuff falls out. But the first time you like, or sometimes when you empty your Diva Cup, there'll be like the biggest blood clot of your, I spit of your life will like come out of it. And you'll be like, am I dying? No, you weren't dying. It's just because it was sitting in that cup. So it just started coagulating.
That's crazy.
But you're fine.
It would
but
be crazy to see
how
much blood there is.
Less than what you think, actually. Yeah. Which is like really interesting because sometimes like on a pad or a tampon, they just get so full, but it's like only a tablespoon. And then when you like pull out the Diva Cup, like sometimes towards the end of your cycle, it doesn't even like, it's like you pull out the cup and there's like a teaspoon worth in the cup and you're like, oh, okay.
Underwhelming.
Yeah. But it is worth trying.
You guys, hopefully, if you are a guy that doesn't have exposure to this and you watched your way through this podcast, cheers to you. Big respect. That's wonderful. I hope you learned something. If you're a girl, I hope you feel a little more normal about periods. I hope you feel okay about talking about it. Especially if you're a young
girl. I'm so sorry. For some reason, as a young girl, it's so mortifying having a period. Like it's still like I still find myself hiding tampons in public when I like, hey, do you have a tampon? Like it's still like kind of like, what is wrong with us?
Yeah. So yeah, there's your episode. We're gonna go to the Patreon episode. We're gonna talk about periods over there. I have two crazy stories. I have one time when crazy story.
I bled on a couch when I was 15, and I have the craziest way of how I hid it because I was a pathological liar as a child.
I have a crazy story about a period act that is shocking.
Oh my. I wonder how Prezzo's going to tweet about this episode.
So we're going to talk about those on the Patreon. If you want to go check that out, we're over there. Thank you for watching this episode. Like and subscribe.
Also, the Taylor Swift Speak Now lore finally got uploaded. 4 hours of it. So that makes up for all my lost Taylor talks. And I'm going to start doing something on the Patreon. Probably I have a Patreon. Forgive me. I'm telling this here for anyone. I signed myself up for too much this month and I've been drowning and not well. But I'm switching Taylor Talks because I'm going to do my master classes every once in a while. And those will always go on the Patreon, the VODs of those. And they won't be anywhere else. But I think I'm going to start doing, give you the opportunity if you're on the Patreon to upload pictures of your baked goods, to which I will tell you what went wrong with them or even just react to them and say good job. So going with that.
She's a food critic.
I'm a food critic. So I'm trying to figure out what else to do on the Patreon. Also, if you have any ideas, let us know on the YouTube comments or in the Patreon comments because I will check them.
If you guys watch my stream, I used to do TikTok reacts. Like I would show you guys my like TikToks. I don't do desktop streams anymore, really, but I do that on the Patreon now. So if you want to see my like TikToks, they're all on there.
Anyway, see you guys later.
See you later. Goodbye.
Bye.